This man thought he got away with something terrible he did as a kid, but he was wrong. Hunter was a rich businessman. Let's just call him Derek. Derek was walking home from work when a boy ran up to him and started pulling on his suit. He said, "Mister, give me 1 penny." Derek shouted, "Leave me alone," and walked away. The boy was left outside freezing in the cold. The next day, the same boy was standing on the street and said, "Mister, give me 1 penny." Derek was annoyed. He threw a penny at him and said, "Here, there you go, now leave me alone." But he could have never known who this boy actually was. This time, when he got home, he started feeling uneasy. Something about these interactions felt a bit weird to him. He went to bed, tried to fall asleep, but as soon as he closed his eyes, he heard a voice right up against his ear say, "Mister, give me 1 penny." Derek jumped out of bed. His wife told him to calm down, so he tried to. There was no one else in the room, but something was wrong. Derek began to remember what he did. When he was a young boy, him and his friends had done something horrible. Terrified, he went up to the attic and found his old yearbook. Then, flipping through the pages, he saw a photo. Derek thought, how was this possible? He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Follow for part 2.
Story of the time the owners of my school left a fake review on my Google account. So then I noticed that I signed into my Google account on Friday, and that's when the review was posted. It was posted at 4:45, which we got out of school at 4:30. So at this point, I was 100% positive that one of the owners of my school had written this fake review under my name, which is illegal. So I go into the office, and mind you, the owners of the school were husband and wife. And on Monday mornings, only the wife was there. So I go to her office and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here to talk to you about this review that was written underneath my name, but I never wrote it." And she pretended like I didn't just say that I didn't write it. And she was like, "Thank you so much. That was so kind of you. We're so happy to hear the good feedback." And I was like, "Yeah, but I didn't write it." And for a while, it was just us going back and forth, her playing stupid and me being like, "I didn't write it." So then she calls her husband, puts him on speakerphone, and he proceeds to thank me for the review that I didn't write. And we go back and forth, and he plays stupid too, until I finally snapped, and I was like, "I didn't write the review, and one of you did." And he was like, "Listen, if you don't feel this way about our school, then you could delete your review."
Do you know the dark origins behind the fairy tales we all grew up hearing? Today we're going to talk about the original scary story behind the Beauty and the Beast. So we all know that Belle ended up living in the castle with the Beast, but what you probably didn't know is how Belle's 2 evil sisters had a dark secret plan. A plan that would lead to devastating consequences for Belle. Belle had made a deal with the Beast that she would be allowed to go home to see her family 1 week at a time. For some context, here Belle's father used to be very rich, but then their family went into debt and pretty much lost everything. So Belle's sisters were extremely jealous that Belle got to live in a castle and have all of these luxuries. So they tried to convince Belle to stay with her family for much longer than a week, but not because they missed her and wanted to be with her. They wanted her to intentionally go against the deal that she made with the Beast so that he would be angry and eat her when she returns. But of course, this entire subplot of the evil scheming sisters were not included in the version we all grew up hearing. If you want to know more about the dark origins behind these popular fairy tales, then let me know which one I should do next and follow to see the rest of the series.
If anyone's wanting to know how to get revenge on someone who spread rumors about you, listen to this story and it may come in handy. So I had a friend that we can call Miranda who was obsessed with me. I was genuinely friends with her, but she would never give me a break. I could not get a breather from her at any point in time. Everywhere I went, she went. And this girl would actually get so upset with me anytime I would go over to another friend's house. I knew she was really insecure and just trying to get attention, so I tried to be patient with her. However, one day I just could not take it anymore. I got into a massive fight with her over how overprotective she is. I literally said, "You are a stage 5 clinger." And in response, this girl ended up joining my basketball and softball team, which I've been on for forever. She told her mom that I was bullying her, which was a complete lie, but then her mom went to the coaches. She got me kicked off the team and then continued to spread rumors about me. I ended up losing my best friends and even my boyfriend over the rumors that she spread about me. So that's when I decided to get revenge. So I decided that I was going to send her over an apology gift with makeup in it, which was a mix of drugstore items and poison.
My husband and I have 2.5 kids. My oldest is 10 years old, my middle child is 5, and I'm currently 5 months pregnant. My 10-year-old is from a previous relationship, and my 5-year-old is adopted. My sister got pregnant unexpectedly, saw adoption as her only choice, and didn't want the baby to go to strangers, so I stepped up. We did everything right. My sister went to therapy to consult on her choice, and I went with her to make sure she was sure, and we did everything that was recommended for adoptive mothers/birth mothers along the way. It wasn't an immediate adoption. I got guardianship, and we built to an adoption, and my sister was involved in the entire process, and again, never expressed any issues in the time it took to finalize. Just over a month ago, I announced my pregnancy. My 5-year-old knows about the biological relationship between her and my sister. Shortly after telling people about the pregnancy, my sister and I arranged to meet up in person in the park. She then told my 5-year-old to give mommy a hug, and my 5-year-old immediately grabbed me and my sister got shitty about it. I asked her what she was trying to do, and she said that I had a baby on the way and assumed that I was done with the 5-year-old and was going to have a new favorite. I said I don't play favorites and don't know what game she.
So this one time I had to stay at my grandma's because my dad was on vacation. And I was having a huge box of clothes come in, and I was not about to have these hoes stolen, so I had my friend stop by to put them inside. So I called my friend up and I was like, hey, can you tell me when you get to my house and let me know when you put the package in? She's like, I got you, shawty. I was like, bet, girl. So around 10 minutes later, I got a call from her freaking out. She was like, Kayla, is there anybody at your house? I was like, no, my dad's on vacation and I'm at my grandma's. She said, no, Kayla, there is somebody at your house right now. So I start freaking out. I'm like, girl, what do you mean? And she said she saw someone walk across this huge window and then my dad's lights turned on. So I start freaking out. I'm like, what did you see walk across the window? Like, who did it look like? And she said it was just a black tall figure that walked across that window. And around 5 minutes of being on the phone, freaking out, she said my dad's lights turned off again. Eventually, me and my grandma drove by the house to make sure nobody was there. And of course, nobody was in my house. And it only gets worse.
Storytime, my gym teacher's wife found out that he was having an affair with me. So a little background information. I was a sophomore in high school, and the one night my friends and I were playing Truth or Dare. Well, a little bit into the game, my friends dared me to download Tinder and message the first 5 guys that I saw. And what do you know, the last guy that I saw on there was my gym teacher. So obviously I messaged him and I was like, hey, gee, it's blah, blah, blah from your 3rd period class. And obviously I wasn't expecting him to answer, but he did, and he was like, oh, this is weird. How are you? So after that, my friends were like, oh, okay, like it's time to delete it. So I pretended that I did, and when they left, I started messaging him more. So we had been messaging that whole week, and one thing led to another. Next thing I knew, he was sneaking me out of my house at 2 a.m. And he was like 32, so he wasn't that old. Well, for the next month, we were going to restaurants that were like an hour away. Almost every weekend, he would rent out a hotel for us. Well, the one night his wife was supposed to be out with some friends, so he invited me over like for part 2.
I just found out that my best friend who is 21 has been sleeping with my dad who is 45 for years, and now my mom and siblings hate me because they think I destroyed our family. It all started when I discovered that my dad had a lot of sketches of my best friend naked. He also had a lot of photos of her. I confronted him and he just told me that he was in love with her, but that nothing had ever happened between them. I talked to my friend and she swore to me that she only loved him as a father and that she would never think of him as a man to flirt with, and I believed her because I thought she was in a relationship. I mean, she used to have a boyfriend and then he moved to another country to study, so they had a long-distance relationship, but apparently they broke up a few months after he moved. But she made me believe that they were still together and that they were going to get married when he came back. But I found out that it was all a lie. I went to her apartment and saw that my dad's wallet was on one of the shelves, and I asked her what his wallet was doing there, and she told me that he went there to talk about me. I believed her again, but then I asked her if I could stay in her apartment for the night, and she said no. She was extremely nervous telling me no, so when I went home, I sent an Instagram message to her supposed boyfriend and he told me
my mother-in-law tampered with my birth control, resulting in me getting pregnant 3 months postpartum. My husband, 22 male, and I, 20 female, welcomed our daughter into the world 18 weeks ago. She's a darling baby and really pretty easy as far as newborns go, except for one. She wasn't a son. My in-laws were obsessed with the idea of us having a son, to the point that they denied she was a girl up until the moment she was born. Why? Because the bloodline follows the father. If you don't have a son, our family name will die out. The day they came to visit in the hospital, my in-laws asked when we would be trying for another baby. We kind of just laughed it off, but my mother-in-law got more insistent, straight up telling us, y'all need to try for a boy. Over the next month or two, the conversation about us having another baby sort of tapers off into little comments every now and again. Around this time, mother-in-law started coming.
Story time about how I almost got arrested for selling my mom's underwear. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. My mom is a total MILF. She used to be in music videos back in the early 2000s. So obviously, I had to find a way to monetize this. When I turned 16, I knew that I wanted to start making my own money. I had heard about people selling pictures of their feet on the internet, so I thought, why don't I try that with my mom? By the way, I am a dude. So I got on Google and started searching how I can sell my mom's pictures, specifically of her feet. So every time my mom would go to get her pedicures done, I would just offer to take pictures of her feet for Instagram. She thought this was really weird, so she would say no. I would try to sneak pictures every now and then, but she would always catch me. So eventually I scrapped that plan and I moved on to her underwear.
I found a website that was talking all about how you can sell your own underwear, and obviously since I'm a dude, nobody's gonna want to buy mine. And I know, what I'm about to say is pretty gross, but I started stealing my mom's dirty underwear. So obviously I had to start keeping track of every time my mom showered. I would go into the bathroom and steal her underwear. Then I would put them in.
I have a 9-year-old daughter who I named after my late grandmother, Annabelle, and I'm currently pregnant. If I'm having a girl, I want to name her after my other grandmother, Rose. My sister got pregnant about 5 months before me and says she wants to name her baby Rose. I said our kids can share the name, but she says I already have Annabelle and could have named her Annabelle Rose, but passed up on the chance. So now I can't have Rose. I told her I'll look for something else, but reserve the right to use Rose if I want to. Then I fell in love with the name Rosalie. It honors my late grandmother, my boyfriend loves it, and it won't piss off my sister. A couple of weeks later, my sister gives birth and announces her daughter's name is Rosalie. I am beyond upset because now she's trying to snatch both names from me. My mom calls me to say she knew my sister was planning to do this and hopes I'm not upset because this means I can take the original name I wanted, which is Rose. But I told my mom I'm sticking with Rosalie. She said it's impractical because both Rosalies will have the same surname. My sister is a single mom and my boyfriend will be taking my last name. My sister then calls me to say I'm an inconsiderate prick and that I'm being petty. She can name her kid whatever she wants and I can't monopolize the name. I said true, so by that same logic, I can use Rosalie.
So there's this old guy in my neighborhood, and he lives in like some small rinky-dinky house, but every week this guy's driving a different brand new Ferrari, like a different Ferrari every week. So the whole entire town, including myself, thinks this guy's in the mafia, so I decided to do a little private investigation. Lucky for me, I actually worked for the IRS, and I was able to get his bank statements, and this guy literally has hundreds of thousands of dollars moving in and out of his bank account per week. So then I looked at his tax returns and his bank account, and it didn't add up. Like, he had a lot more money in the bank.